Picture this. You're sitting at a desk buried under a mountain of textbooks, highlighting every second sentence because it's all important, and mentally prepping your Nobel Prize acceptance speech. Cut to 3 hours later. Your brain has retained about as much information as a leaky sieve. Congratulations, you've just joined the 90% of students who study with the same efficiency as cavemen trying to figure out quantum physics. But wait, it gets better. This 90% genuinely believes they're doing it right. They camp out in the library until closing time, write war and peace-sized notes, and proudly brag to their friends, "I studied for a whole 8 hours today." And the result? Knowledge evaporates faster than a paycheck. The exam turns into a game of textbook Russian roulette where the main strategy is, let's hope I get lucky. The secret is that real learning requires less time but more brains. Don't panic, it's actually super easy. I've done all the research for you. Here are 6 scientifically proven methods to learn faster and remember longer. Let's go. 1. The 80-20 rule. Get ready for the most brutal revelation in the education world. 80% of what you're cramming is completely useless for the exam. While you're heroically memorizing the color of Napoleon's socks at Waterloo, the test is going to ask about his core military reforms. This is the Pareto Principle, and it works everywhere. 20% of your effort gives you 80% of the results. The other 80% of your effort? Well, it just gives you the illusion that you worked really hard, plus some pretty rainbow highlights in your textbook. The typical perfectionist student reads the book cover to cover, memorizes every footnote, and knows the backstory of every minor character, but has no clue which topics actually matter. It's like prepping for a date by studying the entire history of perfume instead of just taking a shower. Smart students, they go to the professor and ask, what's going to be on the test? And then they study only that. Brutal, maybe. Effective, absolutely. Stop hoarding useless facts. Find your 20% and become an expert in it. 2. Turn your brain into a race car using a timer. Here's a psychological paradox for you. Give yourself a whole day to study, and you'll be picking your nose until evening. Set a timer for 30 minutes, and suddenly you're the academic Michael Schumacher, tearing down the track of knowledge at breakneck speed. Why? Your brain is a sneaky manipulator. When it has plenty of time, it thinks, oh, we've got all day, let's chill, check Instagram, ponder the meaning of life, look at some memes. But when that timer clicks, it panics. Oh my God, we only have 30 minutes, work like a maniac. And the magic happens. Instead of lazily chewing on information, you enter emergency absorption mode. No philosophical thoughts, no getting distracted by the cat outside, just pure focus. Plus, after 30 minutes, you get a well-deserved 5-minute breather to scroll through your feed guilt-free. That's not procrastination, it's a scientifically backed break. Turns out, the most effective way to study is to create artificial panic. Under pressure, your brain works better than a supercomputer. Free Einstein's idiot test. Explain it to a 5-year-old. Albert Einstein wasn't just a genius. He was a ruthless destroyer of fake smarts. His golden rule, if you can't explain it simply, you don't actually understand it. Translated into modern terms, most straight-A students are just advanced parrots with good memories. Picture the scene. You've been cramming quantum mechanics for 3 hours. You can quote the textbook word for word, and you feel like the next Stephen Hawking. Now try explaining Heisenberg's uncertainty principle to your grandma or your 5-year-old nephew. Well, it's like when particles are, it's complicated. Congrats, you just failed the Einstein test. The Feynman Technique works like a lie detector for your knowledge. Can you juggle scientific jargon? Great, but that's not understanding. True ownership of knowledge happens when you can explain complex topics using simple analogies. The funny thing is, while you're struggling to translate the complex into the simple, your brain finally starts to genuinely understand the subject. Or why your brain fakes it and actually remembers nothing. Your brain is an Oscar-winning actor and a pathological liar. When you reread a textbook for the 100th time, it happily nods along. Yep, I know this, I recognize every word. But on the exam, it suddenly flips into amnesia mode and acts like it's seeing this info for the very first time. Sound familiar? Congratulations, you've been duped by the illusion of competence, your scammer brain's favorite magic trick. Here's the catch. Recognizing and recalling are two completely different things. When you read photosynthesis happens in chloroplasts, your brain says, "Oh, I've heard that before, so I must know it." But try closing the book and pulling that fact out of thin air. Suddenly, your head is emptier than deep space. Active recall acts like a strict interrogator for your brain. No hints, no, "Oh yeah, I remember now." Just harsh reality. You either know it or you don't. Surprisingly, these brutal interrogations actually force your brain to remember the information rather than just faking it. 5. Your brain is a nightclub, and why you need the gym. Shocking newsflash. While you sleep, your brain turns into the most exclusive VIP nightclub in town. But instead of dancing, it's throwing a VIP party for your memories, sorting the good stuff onto shelves and tossing the trash out the back door. Now imagine the genius who decides to pull an all-nighter before the exam. That's like shutting down the club right when the party is peaking. All your hard work from the day just evaporates because your brain never got the chance to process it. But wait, it gets better. Turns out even a basic walk acts like memory steroids. Just 10 minutes of walking, and your brain suddenly fires on all cylinders, working better than it would after 3 cups of coffee. Why? Because movement gets your blood pumping, delivering oxygen straight to your brain. It's a real-time CPU upgrade. Meanwhile, you're sitting at your desk, suffocating your neurons, wondering why you're thinking like a sleep-deprived sloth. The funniest part? The absolute best exam prep strategy is to get a good night's sleep and go for a walk. Sounds like an excuse, but it's science. 6. The brain vomit technique. Meet the most brutal way to test your knowledge, the brain dump. Sounds gross? Perfect, because your brain is going to find the process pretty nasty too, which means it'll remember it forever. The concept is stupidly simple. Read a chapter, close the book, and physically vomit everything you remember onto a piece of paper. No peeking, no, "Wait, what was that part about mitochondria?" Just empty your head like a sack of potatoes. Most students panic right here. "But I don't remember anything, I only wrote down 2 sentences. Excellent. That is the raw truth about what you actually know. That feeling of knowing everything while reading was just a beautiful lie crafted by your sneaky brain. The most sadistic part of this method is opening the book afterward and seeing exactly how much you forgot. But those gaps, they turn into superglue for your memory. Your brain goes, "Damn, I messed up again, I need to remember this." The result, the information locks into your memory so deeply you couldn't pry it out if you tried. Let's recap. To learn faster, you need to the 80-20 rule. 20% of the material gives you 80% of the results. Focus on the topics that actually show up on exams. 30-minute sprints. 30 minutes of intense focus plus a 5-minute break creates a sense of urgency and spikes your concentration. The Feynman Technique. Explain complex concepts like you're talking to a 5-year-old. If you can't explain it simply, you don't know it well enough. Active recall. Testing yourself is twice as effective as passive reading. Close the book and force yourself to remember key points. Sleep and exercise. Your brain stores information while you sleep, not while you're awake. Even a 10-minute walk improves retention. The brain dump, brain vomit. Read a chapter, then write down everything you remember without looking. It's an instant memory booster. Bonus rule: study smart, not hard. Hit subscribe and become the best.